As a triumph for Meath, led by the captain, the man with the cap, Peter McDermott, who received...
Micheál O'Hare gave me the name. And I don't know why I was picked. I think some of the Cork hurlers also would contest that, that he was the original man in the cap.
And the inevitable man in the cap, Peter McDermott, figuring in the chief action. Up goes Peter McDermott, and as he punches the ball to the net...
The people involved in racing were introducing this more modern cap. It was a shop in Dublin into which we were selling eggs, Shields in Thomas Street. And in the back of the shop one day I tried it on. Oh God, Paddy, said I, that's exactly what I'm looking for. He presented me with it like that, and that was the cap.
And the inevitable man in the cap, Peter McDermott, figuring in the chief action.
And Peter, the former star of Meath, nowadays their coach.
Peter McDermott, the Irish manager, so anxious now at this stage of the game.
As a triumph for Meath, led by the captain, the man with the cap, Peter McDermott.
Peter used to wear a cap to keep his rather extensive black hair out of his eyes, but it's not necessary anymore, as he sees.
Pe my siúrach daoine Peter McDermott, tá a lorg fócaige an gomandúirt as Gael. Ní bháin mar sórim dúid, ach mar chaiftín, mar eifigioch, réitúid, Eliunóid agus Spanish dúid.
Oh well, I was a football fanatic, I really was. I was very, very football mad. Mad is the word. There's nothing to me to cycle all over the place to matches. I guarantee that at my age and the distance from Dublin that I saw more matches in Croke Park than anybody of my age. I lived in Croke Park in my early days.
Cé go rugú gunda chorca Peter McDermott níor chaisebh mar be a gunda na mí a dá sé níos. Dimir sin fellis áraige ribh agus le lín an darna cogad damda. Achas an íar sin gur bhhain an ceannaí ibh cáileamach ó héanaid fáilt na pelle leis an gunda réaga.
As the years caught up and there were alternatives for the left half forward in the 40 yards position, I was given the left corner position to man when I was 31 years of age. And I know from the way I was handled fairly often that I had established a little bit of a reputation.
We lava úntaach mórige. Vi sé anna láide leis ar na gúin agus an lava, mar vi sé I gcónaí I rith chael banana obradaigel. Ag ard de buscas seaci bhean agus a hógan an os leis. Na mi raibh sé ró happy. Ach bhí casna úntaach agus dumí úntaach.
Megan takes the free. It is completed by Peter McDermott.
Sna cearachadaí buiad Curie, Roscommon agus an chábháin na ríthe pelle. Achan idir cearachanaí leis an gábháin gur a trí chríomh a chéalach rúchaint, cháile an bhí don glufa canis.
Gibbstown County Meath, and in location for the training of the county senior football team in its quest for 1949 All-Ireland honours. An area...
Oh, training, sure, there was no training. Training didn't exist to the extent it does now. You might be brought together collectively, but that only arose for the championship, and you might be only in for a couple of sessions just to get together among a lot of strangers maybe.
So to the parade. The arcane band leads the way to the shouts of the excited crowd. Listening down to their task in the opening moments. A determined raid on the cabin goal. I didn't hold them, says Peter McDermott. You did hold them, says referee Dan.
Is she going to kind? Sort of amach the Montori leis. But I know the Montori to be a fedig, a Rachel. Is she going to talk to me? Sais rod nervous to talk of Kind of a guy going like, if you're stuck, it's in password. If you're stuck, betting about better people, no throw people out like, you know. Yeah, we should clish.
The general idea of a quick cabin superiority was being rudely disrupted.
People going in on Cleha Anva Hort and Carvan. Agus Visa Naval Carvan Bernach and Aginip. Agus there may be a Gamahan Lashin.
Meath's captain Brian Smith has sent over a point, and at half time the Leinster champions lead 7 points to 3.
Very much tuck and nip, as they say, and we were playing into the railway goal in the second half. Now, I must say here that in the 2 All-Irelands we won, I didn't score. And the 2 All-Irelands we lost, I scored. And, you know, when you win something big, you like to be in the scoring list. But I do like to think that it contributed and played a major role to what was virtually the winning goal in that All-Ireland final.
A hard shot towards the goal. Morris saves, but Bill Hastings is in, and the ball is in the net for a goal that put Meath on the highway to football on. The crowd, the team.
What is it like winning an All-Ireland? What's it like getting into heaven, as I say? But I'm sure it's what every player hopes to achieve in his lifetime. The All-Ireland medal is the deep prize when all is said and done.
The coveted Sam Maguire trophy to Meath's Brian Smith, with Peter McDermott as a smiling colleague. And so...
Bhí críomh na héir an grútiad an géadúir I díobhacab. Mar ghúis, tú go toras go na 49ers mar a thugtar an isirthub. Echelon bhelg an Dakota bhí hocht, timpeall chunda na mí.
While we expected to be able to see directly underneath us, of course, all you had was a distant view out the little window and the Dakotas. And all the fellas, a lot of them wouldn't go on the plane, a little bit apprehensive about it all.
In the Cuige Hion, bliant rééis go Peter Pósa, hosan ar in the Gael go maith ríist. Cháile siad go chlufi canis na srathe, agus mar ghúis an uair sin, brachach na búiteirí amach go nuamhrach. Nis sa ché lehí seans aontoch ar scóraigh Peter, agus cuimde gur in Lídia Cuige Hion I bhín 10 seige.
Mayo had a very good goalie named Sean Wynn, and I was clean through and had a full blast at the goalie for a goal on a trip to New York at stake. And to my terrible, I don't know, I could have sunk in the ground. The ball hit the post and rebounded back. And I got the rebound, and by this time was heavily covered up, and tried to go for a goal again, and 2 attempts at goal, and both of them failed on a trip to New York at stake, and the game hanging on a thread. I broke down in the dressing room. I cried my heart out in the toilet in the dressing room that day in Croke Park.
Na bhí na deora trúmaí sa siomra festis, chun bhí mach gan darna le, agus chrúdar 3 cholíní in aie sé. Bhín toras go America slána Jacob, ach solang ó hudí semach chun, bhín commartas críomh le nimmart Jacob, ach bhín toras I góla chéine gónaí.
Ag an am sin nuair a bhí tú ag dul go dtí na Stát Aontaithe caiithú vaccination all ag in smallpox nó rud éigin mar sin níl an cinnte. Ach thosaigh an bhí ag dul go maiid na sa championship agus chuir siad an vaccination ar ceall ó rís agus rís eile agus an sin bhí siad a gréibh na hÉireann. Agus bhí an bhí sa campa tréáil le Maile Gib nuair a tháinig an doctor isteach agus rinne sé an vaccination agus bhí cuidan na himróí an bhróite agus iad ag immart sa lé canis é Gwynna Mayo.
Bhí Jimmy Riley sin ahar le Bradley Riley bhí gimmar don bhíle déanaí. Bhí seisna anna haine fad, bhí sé amach 6 boys more people in it than all.
Brian Smith and the inevitable man in the cap, Peter McDermott, figuring in the chief action. But Mayo's full...
Well, we're not putting it up as an excuse. No way would any player want to put it up, because Mayo were worthy winners, and on the day we were a well-beaten team.
A dúnach tréis clufi wio, thug imreolí na mí ai an toras go nuamhrach.
Bhí sé go hont. Ní a bhéon hananta gotar ná in ósa go fi America ach mar rud mar bheachan na Scana nó Hollywood. Nis tá mé ag siúil she's 5th Avenue agus rudí mar sin like bhí Judy Garland ag fanna fé agus ná tá siúla. Bhí sé go hont.
The story of the 1952 All-Ireland football final is a tale of 2 games. So, first of all, let us flash back to Sunday, September the 28th, at a rain-soaked...
Of all the days that ever came, it came a wet day. First day, a wet, windy day, what was worse. Now, I scored a goal, which is one of my most cherished memories. Most players attempt to make a wild punch at a ball, but slap it like that. But I just stuck the hand straight in and gave it a little twist like that, the same as though you're turning the knob on the door.
Up goes Peter McDermott, and as he punches the ball to the net, the sides are level at 1 goal and 6...
But I had to beat both McCabe and the gunner for a very high ball that came into square, cut the fingers to it, and flicked it into the corner of the net for what to all intents and purposes again, was the winning goal. And we looked as if we were home and dry until the dying seconds of the game.
The goal. It looks like going wide. Everybody, including our cameraman, gives up the chase of that ball. That is everybody but Edwin Carolan, who puts the sides level with the wonder point.
Shinné an tleis far a dimmer Peter I craven na Héireann agus tá díma tuisne bhuaigh sé an tleis sin.
Taréis na heimmartha bhí corann bhí gír ag an gábhain a ríist. Níor thóg sé a ghá bliain ar an bhí solar il siad. In 1954 bhí Peter McDermott 6 bliain agus tríocha d'aois. Ina rónaí ar bháir de chundé agus ránaiche ag a chlub ó maithanú na huimhe mar chaiptín ar a gundé.
The introductions to the captains. Meads, Peter McDermott, and Kerry's...
Ní raibh cléthe mai gan mar sin. Bhí sé gimar ar mixí Palmer agus a ní hir riimi sin bhí absas ar a íochail agus bhí sí píon. Ní ag sé dulaige fiachlór mar ní bheistigh dúntar.
And I was up all night walking the floor and whinging and crying and lamenting my bad luck. But more so than just the bad luck, but the absolute pain of having the toothache. And my dentist here was a Mr. Connolly. And he was so angry with me. He really was. He tore into me. He said, why in the name of so-and-so didn't you come down no matter what hour the night was? And I had given it a prod.
And as Paddy Meegan takes the free, it is completed by Peter McDermott. And now, Meath lead 1-12.
As dónn go raibh na círiach go cheapsigh go músigh go heasca agus hosan siad mar dearfa second gear agus ní raigh le éirias.
15 points to 1 goal and 7 points.
Bhuaigh an bhí ar an scóir héana tríag in aige héana seacht. An cailúnt is mó a bhí ag céirí ó néideag is a thucht.
The game goes down as a triumph for Meath, led by the captain, the man with the cap, Peter McDermott, who receives the magnificent Sam Maguire Cup from the GA president on the Hogan stand. And so, the curtain falls...
Taréis a chu daiblir ar fad, ní ra le díon aige ach corann bhí gír a iompar bháile.
Oh, again, what the hell was wrong in the weather in those years at all? Again, we ran into another terrible wet night. And we were inside in the car, Patsy Ratty, an Avonman here, he was carrying the cup and he was expected to stand up out through the sunshine roof, stand up on the seat and hold the cup aloft as we came into town. But it wasn't worth the wetting we got.
Is mí lá chaise mar imliú de bort teilsin, ach runne sé obair mhórdan gomann uair leascail ar fe a bhád mar effigeach sa chundé le cúige láin agus ar a stáitse náisiúnta ar an áard chóirle.
That was my first experience of the big time. And I loved it, really loved being involved in county board affairs and coming to county board meetings. I loved it, particularly the objections and the cut and thrust of that kind of argument, you know. And I like being part and parcel of the whole administrative setup.
Juan Peter cáileamach ó héine ríist, ach an uair se mar réiteúid. Blian salach rúise craobh na Héireann mar chaiptín, is é a bhí mun na fadóige i glufi canis na Héireann in 1953, agus rinne se an rud céanna ríist in 1956.
Oh, you do want to have the neck, the devil to go out to referee a big match. That's my way of looking at it. I enjoyed it up to a point. It brought a lot of honour and acclaim, I'd like to think.
Bhí sé tuisceanach mar réiteoir. Dá mar seansan go nairóg leis an bhar an cad a scríle agus tarfa bhaintas. Scríleach leis bíoch go raibh seoil déanta. Bhí rud eile bhí ana gar a landas na himiróige agus bhí sé cén sais chlasna bhacha nó cén bart nó cén sefta bhechacha agus cén lag a bhechacha agus cén nata bhechacha. So bhí ana bhasta go mar réiteoir.
They stopped one close in, and referee McDermott orders a penalty.
And as I saw it, the ball barely grazed the crossbar. Instead of he catching it, it beat him and it ran down his front. And he dived after it. And he wasn't the biggest goalie, he was a small man. And as I saw it, he picked the ball off the ground.
Bill McCurry sends it wide, and with newfound relief.
I have a unique bloody record here in this thing. 49 I played in it, in the final. 1951, played in the final. 1952, played in the final. 1953, refereed the final. 1954, played in the final and acted as captain. 1955, refereed 2 All-Ireland semi-finals draw matches, but didn't referee the final. And then 1956, I was back again to referee the All-Ireland final. So I was living in Croke Park, refereeing All-Ireland finals or taking part.
Ní dhéon sé aon rud ach íon sé go maith. Tus go raibh sé I gimar leis, bhí sé go an meona bhíige, gus bhí sé féráilte. An rud eile, bhí anna bheas ag na himiróí má bhí sé gur imró an bhathar féinnig. Bhí sé dír tréis éirí as péisceil, bhí sé óg.
I mean, it's not for me to judge him, but I mean, look at what was he like? Sure, he proved what he was like when he refereed 2 All-Irelands and all inter-county matches all around the country, everywhere. League matches, championship, what not? Did you referee when you were in the States, Darren?
No.
Fiú is go an bheasad Peter ar fud na tíide, níor hain réitireacht leis. Bhí gnó héine mar ceanna ive, bhí clán ógaid, bhí go leor taiste le baint leis an jab agus leis réitireacht. Deire, tháinig sé Ginne gur feardó éirí as, agus seas an clufahháin I gréomh lion amach na intin fós.
But that was the day I was telling this man about it, that I had a stopwatch from Dickie Everett gave me, our goalie. He was walking in Ballyshannon and he did this stopwatch. And I had lipstick marked there at the, not to press the red button or the whole thing would go back. And clear to God, I pressed the wrong button at one stage.
And it stopped, didn't it?
And I was left without...
Didn't you come in looking for a watch?
That's right.
And I paid out that watch that I had.
That's right. Oh, so much for stopwatches.
Well, that's a fight.
It was a day. This very well-dressed, very respectable-looking man came in, and in front of all my friends and umpires, and arising out of the sending off, he said, "McDermott, you were well paid for that." I saw a guard down at the bottom of the goal come with me over here, saying, I got the guard to take his name. Now, I sent that name and address to the Secretary of the Leinster Council. Soured me the whole thing, between everything that went on that day, trouble with the van, trouble with the watch, trouble with players, and trouble with a spectator. I had enough of it.
Nuair a tháinig an dún chun cíns na seascadaí, agus iad bheith an taithí, tu go cuiread a feature chun cóirle chuid orthb, faoin lá mór I barceach rócaí.
I was trying to impress on them not to be overawed by the occasion, and that it wasn't the end of the world if they were beaten. And I said, the mountains of Morden won't fall into the sea if you lose the match. Give it your all. Come off the field satisfied that you did your best and an engine couldn't do more.
Out it goes to Lennon, and now he equalises.
Some teams going to Croke Park for the first time or going to All-Ireland for the first time would be in awe of the park, first of all, and awe of Kerry as opponents. But Peter reduced all that to a level of experience which players had. And he said the players that you will meet in Croke Park are no better than perhaps the players that you played against in your last club match.
Jim McCartan sends a high lobbing ball into the goal mouth.
It was a nice some chance of going down to coach men like Joe Lennon, Sean O'Neill, Jim McCartan, that famous half hour. The whole team. It was a team of stars. The stars of the county down was right.
Agus fáilte ráibh ar náis go Parc Crocaigh le haigh cléthe craobh na hÉir na bell idir an gaillimh agus an bhí. Hello everybody.
Tugu éise in lídeach seasca sé chun cónathúr go idir na mí. Leach réoga is breacach glún nó as a collar.
Captain of the team, and there's Peter McDermott holding the ball now. And Peter, the former star of Meath, nowadays their coach. Number 20.
Well, egnam sin the spirit on log na himróí an seo gúnda na mí. Agus Honey Peter is Jack, agus an kid the dúirte ná go raibh Pelladóí na mí chun mai le Pelladóí in éon cúnda eile. Agus gur bhí an aimime bhí aige ná cléthe canis na hÉir na bhuachan.
There's a free for me, taken by Red Collier, well into the goal mouth, and it's missed it over the bar.
So na hannig farmar sin isteach I measc grúpa lads mar muide, mar bhí sé fuasil sin. Agus hatúéis sa leis, agus mar de orda déach sé leat, chtéteagar tún na íana.
McMillan has an early chance for Meath. Nolan
Cégur háileidir an 1966 in éid fuireann na Gaillimhe, rinne siad an bheartam bliain dar gcéann in éid Chorca. An chéadúir ghob, craobh na héireann na grúchaint, ó bhí Peter Héine na chaiptín in 1954. Mar champín na héireann, ó fuireann na mí go dtí Astráil i mí Márta 1968. Grúdar an chuig chluife i d'imir siad am.
The man responsible for it all was Beitzel, Harry Beitzel, the Australian. And he had come to Ireland and he threw out an invitation to us to visit Australia, but he didn't say the qualifying thing was, provided you pay your own way.
Volley Peter, Biognach and Tariq Gulea, Kershe Raffler Shul, Vonishe Kishta, Ker Fostori, Agus Ibriha, Arigit just Jacksa Kishta Shin, Agus Bicolor Arigit and Shin, a green Condolgadi in Austral.
Again by County Meath. McDermott sends it down to full forward. Mick O'Brien into the net. And taken by Red Collier.
Well, the Australians were very tough. They didn't take any prisoners. And we weren't out there for a suntan either, so it was tough football. We played 5 games in a matter of 10 days, and it was tough going in it.
Spaces, Mick Mallet shoots the ball.
Ja, maar ja, we zijn karo geleden, just in June, maar ja, dat komt in de meeuw tegen toe, niet goed zijn sterker.
Beitzel's team, the Australians, that team, there was no toughness or roughness, and everybody who was there would vouch for that. They might have had 1 or 2 men who saw themselves as being hard men and dished it out, but we had hard men too, and Bertie Cunningham and these who relished in that kind of stuff. And Bertie came out of the big match in Melbourne in the MCG with a bloody eye, and I think the caption on the photograph was, "Bloody but unbowed."
You know, when the legacy of international rules is being talked about, I think Peter McDermott has a central role. His organisation of the Meath trip to Australia in '68 really started the ball rolling, and then he was involved as manager himself and involved in drawing up the rules for the compromise game. So Peter McDermott has been the main person behind the development of international rules games between Ireland and Australia.
It was really a great game from our viewpoint. I thought the Aussies had it stolen on us coming towards the finish.
Agus gaflíon imríon ógánig na Héireann agus ógánig na Australig cléthe compromise rules. Agus bíon corran ag dul le buathóirí an cléthe sin. Agus sé sin corran Peter McDermott.
The man with the cap, Peter McDermott, who receives the magnificent Sam Maguire Cup from the GAA president on the Hogan stand.
Bhí sé ina Ifigeach agus costain na mí agus a cóla lein agus an ard cóla ag imar pelle freisin agus an rétóras a rinne sé. So níl lí sé a rá nach méid a lehéad down a ríis.
I wouldn't like him to think I was philosophing him or anything, you know. Mike was a true gentleman and great man for the GAA in Meath.
Beidir bhfuil anam darútacha, ach ní garíonn si riamhar the man in the cap. Beidir go níon si Paddy O'Brien agus, you know, ach I gcónaí the man in the cap.
Put it the way Winnie Churchill said it during the war, never was so much owed to so many by one person. And that applies very much in my case. I owe an awful lot to an awful lot of people. And thanks very much everybody out there who contributed to any little success I achieved. And I hope I rewarded you all in some way for it.